What if I told you that one single ingredient, something you can find in everyday foods, could slash your risk of dying from any cause by almost a quarter? I know, it sounds a little too good to be true, but the science here is incredibly solid. Yeah, you heard that right. A massive meta-analysis, and when I say massive, I mean it looked at data from 3.5 million people, found that a higher intake of this one thing cut the risk of all-cause mortality by a jaw-dropping 23%. And that's exactly what we're going to break down in this explainer, the hidden powerhouse lurking in your diet that has some seriously profound effects on your long-term health. Now, to really get why this is such a game changer, we first have to zoom in on a huge global health crisis, the rising tide of type 2 diabetes. The scale of this problem, it is absolutely staggering. Projections show that by 2045, 700 million people around the world will be living with diabetes. That's an astronomical number, and it tells us we need powerful, effective ways to manage and prevent it. So when we talk about managing diabetes, there's one key number you really have to know. It's called glycated hemoglobin, or HbA1c for short. The easiest way to think about it is like a 3-month report card for your blood sugar levels. It's not about what you ate yesterday, it's the big picture. So what do these numbers actually mean? Well, as you can see, if you're at 5.6% or less, you're in the clear. That's normal. Once you creep into that 5.7 to 6.4% range, you're in prediabetes territory. And 6.5% or higher is a diabetes diagnosis. For most folks who already have it, the main goal is to keep that number under 7%. So the big question is, how do we get those numbers down? Well, this brings us right back to our hidden powerhouse. Let's look at the hard data, because it is pretty incredible. All right, the secret ingredient we've been talking about is dietary fiber. And look, its benefits are not just some theory. A major meta-analysis pulled together the results from 22 different clinical trials just to see what kind of effect it really has on people with type 2 diabetes. And the results were remarkable. The study found that just by increasing dietary fiber, people lowered their HbA1c by an average of 0.66%. Now, to put that in perspective for you, that's a clinically significant drop. In fact, that's the kind of improvement you'd hope to see from taking diabetes medication. But the good news didn't stop there. The analysis also showed major drops in other key areas. Fasting blood glucose went down. Fasting insulin, which is a big indicator of insulin resistance, went down too. So in other words, fiber isn't a one-trick pony. It's attacking the problem from multiple angles. Okay, but here's where it gets a little more nuanced. It's not quite as simple as just eat more fiber. To really unlock its power, you have to understand a key detail. Not all fiber is created equal. You've basically got two main types. First, there's soluble fiber. This stuff dissolves in water and creates this gel-like substance in your gut. That gel literally slows down how fast you absorb sugar, preventing those big blood sugar spikes. Think oats, beans, and apples. Then you've got insoluble fiber. This doesn't dissolve. It's more like roughage or a scrub brush for your system, keeping everything moving along smoothly. Think whole grains and veggies. But the story gets even more specific. And honestly, this is where it gets really cool. It's not just soluble versus insoluble. Brand new research is showing that the source of the fiber, where you get it from, can actually team up with common diabetes medications like metformin and arquebus to work even better. This is where nutrition becomes incredibly personal and powerful. So, a 2024 study dug into this and found some amazing interactions. Fiber from whole grains, for instance, was great at boosting beta cell function. Those are the cells that make insulin, and controlling blood sugar after a meal, especially for people on acarbose. Then you have fiber from legumes like lentils and chickpeas that improved glycemic control with both acarbose and metformin. And get this, for people on metformin, adding legume fiber was also linked to better weight loss. So with all of this information, how do you actually turn it into a personal game plan? Let's talk about the right way and the safe way to get more fiber into your diet. And you really do have to approach this the right way. Because if you just suddenly go from eating very little fiber to a whole lot overnight, well, you might do more harm than good. A sudden jump can lead to some really unpleasant side effects like bloating, gas, and, constipation. Luckily, the fix is super simple. There are just 2 rules to remember. First, go slow. Increase your intake gradually. If you're eating 10 grams a day, don't jump straight to 35. Give your body time to adjust. Second, and this is crucial, drink plenty of water. Fiber needs water to do its job. Without it, you can actually make things worse. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that building your diet around fiber-rich foods like legumes and whole grains isn't just healthy eating. It's a targeted, science-backed, strategic choice for managing type 2 diabetes, especially if you're also taking medication. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it does. The story doesn't end with blood sugar. The benefits of this powerhouse ingredient go way beyond just managing diabetes. I mean, just look at this list. A high-fiber diet is one of the best things you can do for your health, period. It helps fight chronic inflammation. It cuts your risk of heart disease and stroke by lowering blood pressure and that bad LDL cholesterol. It helps with weight management because it keeps you feeling full. And, maybe most importantly, it's the #1 food for the good bacteria in your gut, which run everything from your immune system to your mood. It's basically a full-body upgrade. So there you have it. The evidence is compelling. The science is clear. From potentially cutting your overall risk of death to fine-tuning your metabolic health, the benefits are undeniable. The only question left is, how are you going to start using your diet's hidden powerhouse?